Welcome to Olmsted Overheard, the place for conversations about what's happening in and around Olmsted Falls, Ohio. I'm your host, Mark McCausland. It's been a little while since the last episode, and I want to start by acknowledging that. When I first launched this podcast, I was able to move pretty quickly and put out several episodes in a short period of time, but since last winter, my availability has shifted a bit, and it's taken me longer than I would have liked to get this episode out. That said, I'm excited to be back, and I'm treating this as the start of what I'm going to call Season 2 of Olmsted Overheard. Looking ahead, my goal is to bring a little bit more consistency to the podcast, hopefully not just in frequency, but also in the types of conversations we're having. So that's going to include regular check-ins with local government to help keep residents informed, spotlights on local businesses that are part of what makes this community unique, and even a historical series to explore the roots of Olmsted Falls and how we got to where we are today. At the same time, it's become clear to me that if I want to hit this kind of a cadence consistently, I'm going to need some help. So if you are someone in the community interested in being involved, whether that's behind the scenes with things like research or production or editing, or even with contributing to the episodes by being on the microphone, I would genuinely love to hear from you if you are interested. Now, for today's episode, I am joined by Mayor Chad Gluss for a conversation about his first few months in office and what's ahead for the city. In this discussion, we talk about what the transition into the role has been like for Mayor Gluss, some of the early priorities and challenges that his administration has faced, and a few of the initiatives already underway, from pursuing grants and improving senior services to bringing back community events like Heritage Days. We also get into some of the bigger picture ideas he's beginning to explore, and whether you've been following things closely or are just looking to get a better sense of where the city is headed, this conversation should give you a clear and direct look at what's happening from the mayor's perspective. So let's get into it. This is Olmsted Overheard. I'm here with Mayor Chad Gluss of Olmsted Falls, Ohio. Chad, do you like being mayor?
So far, it's only been 90 days.
I know.
Nobody's MF'd me on Facebook yet, so that's a good start.
Yeah, how much, I see you post now and again on Facebook.
So first of all, I'm not a Facebook guy. Usually when I post, it's because somebody says, hey, somebody posted. I'm a information guy. I have no problem putting myself out there, like with the electricity stuff. People were blowing it up about First Energy and this and that. Hey, listen. So Westview is where I live. That neighborhood goes out of power more than anywhere in the city.
Really?
Well, it's my neighborhood.
Yeah.
It's Jen Jansen's neighborhood. It's Megan Coy's neighborhood. So, for me, I could just keep quiet, or I could put it out there. Hey, listen, this is my neighborhood too. We're all feeling, and Councilwoman Coy and Councilwoman Jansen. And then, I put out there, hey, trying to schedule a meeting with First Energy. And of course, I got a couple phone calls. Well, that's not going to do nothing. I go, ma'am, would you rather me just do nothing? And I said, one of the things that I brought up and I wanted people to understand when I ran for mayor is that I'm a mayor for everybody. So while you may not like it, they will. So I'm going to do it because it's easy for me to have a town hall.
Yeah.
And we'll go from there. I've actually gotten a lot of great feedback in Drug Mart. Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? Yeah, come on up, whatever. I think I kind of look at the job differently. I have no ulterior motive. I'm not trying to move into the Senate. I'm not trying to move into the state. I'm not trying to move into Congress.
Right.
I don't want to say I don't care, but my focus is this 4.1 square miles. I'd be lying if I didn't say I keep an eye on what's going on in the country. But I've always been one of those, hey man, just give me the rules of the game and I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I have a mindset too where it seems so daunting to try and see things at a larger level, and it feels like there's nothing we can do.
Right.
But at the local level,
absolutely,
I've found there's a lot you can do.
A lot you can, 100%. And I've always said this. I really don't think people are bad. I just think they look at things differently, and the way that somebody was raised, the life experiences they have gone through makes them look at things in a certain way.
Yep.
And, the problem is how am I to tell you that my way is right, not knowing how you were raised and what you've gone through and stuff like that?
Yeah. I've heard it called a lens. Everybody's looking through life. I know through different lenses. tainted or colored by all the different experiences they've had. And
Absolutely.
we could talk about that
all day.
all day.
Yeah. Well, but that's why I like local politics.
Yeah.
You know, I can make some changes that are actually going to affect people. People are going to actually be able to see them. You know, people can actually have a voice. You know, I've probably returned 30 or 40 calls, and people are like, wow, you actually returned my call. And I'm like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I? They're like, well, usually we just call City Hall and nobody responds. Hey, listen, you elected me. I may not be calling you with the answer you want, but listen, I'll sit here till 7 o'clock at night. As a matter of fact, sometimes like she'll run out to lunch or she'll go do her errand. I'll sit up front, I'll answer the phone.
Yeah.
People are looking like, what are you doing? This is my community. What am I mean, I'm not that guy. I'm the mayor. I can't answer a phone. Listen, I was the fire chief. I used to answer calls. I used to go on. I actually went on a squad call.
Nice.
I was down at the fire station with the acting fire chief, and the guys were out on a call. Then a lady called right across the street here. She said, hey, I need to get my mom in the house, but it's kind of icy and slippery, and I'm elderly. She's elderly. So, okay, so we'll be right down. And I looked at the chief. And he goes, oh, you want to call mutually? I said, no. So I'm a paramedic. You're a paramedic. All we're doing is helping her in her house. Let's go.
Yeah.
So we get there, and I was actually something a little bit nicer. And she says, she's like, are you on the fire department? I said, well, I retired. I said, I work at City Hall right now. She goes, oh, what do you do there?
Oh, I'm the mayor.
I said, well, I'm the mayor. And she looked at me. She goes, are you serious? I said, I'm not gonna call another city and to come handle that.
Right.
Just not gonna do that.
Well, and I'll say this too. I've had to reach out to you for Parks and Rec stuff or for this, and you're very responsive, very approachable, and I can text you or you'll call me back, and it's refreshing.
Well, Olmsted Falls is a small community, and this is what we need. And if I was the mayor of Cleveland, would I be able to do that? Probably not, only because of the number of phone calls I'm sure he gets, but for the 9,000 residents we have, absolutely.
All right. So, general question: how has your first 3 months as mayor gone?
So far, it's been awesome. Very busy. As with any new job, clearly I knew I was ready for it, but there's always things that, you're like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Or I didn't see that. But, we've overcome. We had a fire chief retire. So we'll actually be testing April 10th and 11th. So hopefully have a chief in here in May.
Nice.
The finance director also was moving on, which we knew last April. So got the finance department kind of squared away. So we've got 2025 closed out, and now we're just hitting the ground running with 2026.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what was something that maybe caught you off guard?
The amount of emails that I receive that have me involved in some things that I didn't think that the mayor necessarily was involved in, if that makes sense. Every email that kind of goes throughout the city, I'm CC'd on. I guess what it caught me off guard is it's like, okay, am I supposed to respond to this, or are you handling this and just letting me know?
Right.
Or, so we get a lot of emails, from the gas company, from Public Works, First Energy, hey, can you fill this out? Or, hey, we need this information. And I'm kind of like, are you just telling me or are you asking me?
Yeah.
And so that was kind of a learning curve where I had to reach out to people. Hey, listen, if I'm supposed to do something with this, you need to let me know. Otherwise, I'm assuming you're just kind of CCing me to make sure that I'm in the loop. So that was the first one. The other one is we lost, unfortunately, we lost the $50,000 senior grant.
Oh.
It was a 2-year grant. It's $25,000 a year. It was just some oversight from the last administration. So that was probably the biggest thing. But, I let finance know, listen, I'll take a pay cut before I cut any senior services. Thankfully, the prior administration did leave the city in pretty good hands financially. Right. So we were able to absorb it. So like I said, it's $25,000 a year over 2 years. We will and are going to reapply for it next year.
Right.
And then it'll kick in 2028.
Okay.
But that's just one of those curveballs where it's like, ugh.
Yeah, because you're not handed a binder with a checklist of all the things you need to make sure that are administratively is kept on top of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know that as well.
Yeah. Well, and there's been a lot of turnover in the past couple of years, and so I can understand where things just fell through the cracks. Things happen.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it was only $25,000 and not $2.5 billion.
Right, something that can be absorbed in the budget.
Exactly.
All right. Well, what are 2 or 3 of your biggest highlights? Not necessarily on the personal level, but at the city level, 2 or 3 highlights from the first quarter here.
All right, well, what are 2 or 3 of your biggest highlights at the city level from the first quarter here? Accomplishments
Sure.
of the administration.
Well, I would say number one is the amount of grants that we've been filling out. Yeah, we have pretty much any grant that comes across my desk, we're filling it out. We've already received, I wish I would have had the number for you. I know we're already at about $150,000, $200,000 worth of grants that we've received.
So how does that work? As mayor, are you on some distribution list? And
So there's multiple. There's a group out there called Mayors and Managers. They meet once a month. It's Northeast Ohio city managers and/or mayors.
okay,
A lot of information is through given out there. Cuyahoga County sends out updates and things. There's NOACA and transportation grants, and it kind of seems like once one mayor gets them, they kind of send out a blast.
nice.
So the nice part is I usually get 3 or 4 notifications of similar or the same
Right.
grant. And so I have our new economic development director, Jeremy Rowan, has been a critical part of that.
Okay,
And our new finance director also has some grant writing skills.
nice.
So we've kind of just been getting them, reading, what they're for, what they're willing to fund. We look around the city and say, hey, can we use this? Where can we use this at? We actually just put in $1 million grant to beautify the bridge. I'll redo all the bricks in front of it, put all brand new landscaping around there. We're going to be applying for a senior transportation bus.
Nice.
That's my second highlight is the city of Berea has agreed to bring us on at least 1 day a week onto their senior transportation.
Wow.
We're still working out all of the kinks and how we're going to pay for it and what day it's going to be, but it's going to give us a nice gauge of how many people in our community is going to use it. It's also going to give us some time to apply for the grants and hopefully get it, purchase a vehicle. I've already reached out to the trustees. They do a senior transportation, but they use a third-party company also.
Okay.
So we've talked about if we get the grant for the bus, maybe doing something collaboratively between us and the township,
Right.
and then maybe somehow share the cost of the drivers, type of thing. But that'll be really exciting if that happens. And the third highlight, and I'm sure you're well aware that we're going to make
Can I guess? Is it Heritage Days?
It is Heritage Days. Yes, we are going to do everything we can to revive Heritage Days. I've heard for the longest time, Heritage Days and 4th of July were 2 big things that people in this community really liked, loved, wanted to see come back. There's been some issues that my understanding with 4th of July that seemed hard to overcome. So we kind of focused on Heritage Days. We realized, obviously, in my first year, probably in my first 2 years, bringing both back at the same time would be very difficult.
Yeah.
So, as you know, being on Parks and Recs, we've reached out and said, it normally has never been a city backed function.
Right. It was Grand Pacific Junction.
It was Grand Pacific Junction, exactly. But this year, we decided that we're going to take the lead at least this year, at least try to get it up and running. And then we'll see what happens next year. I'm not saying it has to remain a city-owned, city-run event, but I thought it was important to at least get it up, get it running, get it going. Hopefully the merchants down in Grand Pacific see the value in it.
Right.
And hopefully they want to take it over. And if they don't, then we'll keep doing it. Yeah, I know we've already got some bands lined up that have offered to donate their time. We're going to have a 5K. So that's going to be the first time Heritage Days is going to have a 5K. They're actually working on the route right now.
Nice.
They are going to do like a little children's, little kids.
Oh, cool.
It's going to be like 100 or 200 yard dash.
Nice.
And it's going to basically be from Main Street across the bridge type of thing, just for the little guys to get a chance to participate.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, what is something that you are working toward in the next quarter that is important to you?
Well, number one is going to be the senior transportation, really getting that up at some level, whether it be a day a week or 2 days a week, 3 days a week, whatever it is, get something up and going and being able to provide that.
do we not have that historically? Is that something we've never had, or is that something that?
So I know years ago, Mayor Donegan tried to get something going. We still do have the Southwest transportation. So anybody who has a doctor's appointment or needs to go to Southwest Hospital, Southwest Hospital provides a courtesy van that will come get you and take you there. But this would be more for, a grocery store run. If you happen to have a doctor's appointment that's not at Southwest, you just need to run to Mark's or Target or, something local. Yeah. We're really excited about that. We're also going to start working on, obviously, Heritage Days. That'll be in August, but really getting that underway. And then the last thing is, on the campaign trail, I talked about some kind of tax reform. We're really just now that 2025's books are closed and we're getting into 2026, we're going to start looking at the income tax. And I'm a big advocate of trying to maybe shift property taxes and the income tax a little bit. We haven't worked out the numbers yet. I know there's a lot of people out there that have heard that, the township got into a jet with North Olmsted.
Yeah, is that actually signed?
I don't think it's signed yet.
I don't think so.
But one of the key factors there, and I don't blame the trustees, was, North Olmsted has a 2% income tax. And so fiscally, it makes sense for the township to partner with them because they will receive more income.
Right.
So one of my thoughts is if we could bring up the city's income tax from 1.5 to 2. And then what we would do to offset that is we currently have 3 fire levies and 1 police levy that we would then just let expire, and we would start to just use the income tax to pay for those.
Right.
And that would knock 4 levies off of your property tax. Right. It is beneficial for the city too, because now we don't have to come back to the taxpayers every 5 years and, ask to have that renewed. The other nice part is as we get more residents and as we get more business, that income tax will grow. And so as we need to hire more police officers and more firefighters and more service people, we can do that based off of income tax as opposed to having to ask people to pass a property tax.
And just to be clear, the devil's in the details here. You're talking the initial planning stage of it.
Yes.
Let's look at the numbers, see what's doable.
Yep.
None of it would happen overnight.
Well, first of all, none of it would happen without the vote of the people.
That too.
So my goal is to have something in November. On the ballot for a income tax. Goal would be to have a 2% income tax and get rid of those 4 levies. If the taxpayers say no, we don't want that, that's fine. We would just follow that up then with new property tax levies.
Yeah.
And I get it. Some people would rather pay property tax. Some people pay income tax.
The challenge is the marketing, right?
Exactly.
People are going to see, my income tax is going up, and they're going to say blanket no. But every time they see a levy where my property tax is, they're always going to blanketly say no too.
Exactly. So yeah, obviously marketing is going to be key. And, we've already started working on that. Those who have no earned income, this will actually benefit the most.
Yes.
Because their property taxes will go down and they won't pay any income tax.
Right.
And the other nice part is that every employee in the city, their income tax is also going to go up. So they'll also be paying more. So it's a nice thing for people to know that, the people that are working in the factory or in the schools or over at, Drug Plaza, that, now their income tax is also going to go up. So they're going to be contributing another 0.5% to us.
Right.
Which ultimately, hopefully would help curb our residents' tax burden.
And that's because they work here. So then with Rita, that's...
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So those are the main 3.
Nice. All right. Any personal highlights or favorite memories, moments so far as mayor? What sticks out?
You know what? The number one thing is, my first day here, I came into the office and everything was all on lockdown. And you had a buzz to get in, and you had, all the interior doors were locked and shut. And my first day, I opened everything up. And I've had probably no less than 30 or 40 seniors at the Jenkins Center come to me and just say, thank you.
Nice.
Say, you know what? It just feels so calm. It feels right. They don't feel like, they're in jail. They don't feel like they're locked down. And so, that for me so far has been a nice personal highlight to know that one small thing that I did has really affected, members of our community, so much so that they made a point to come into my office and just say thank you. Because as you know, a lot of times they like to come into my office, but it's usually not to say thank you.
I can imagine.
So I would say right now, the first 90 days, that's one of my biggest
That's cool.
favorite. Yeah.
Easy to do, right? Just open the doors.
Just unlock the doors. Yep.
Yeah. Very nice. Okay. So is there anything that you were hoping to accomplish in the first few months that hasn't happened yet?
Yeah. Most of it's just because I wanted things to happen a little faster. The big one, everybody makes fun of me about the feral cats, but I got to bring it up. So, well, the initial hurdle was getting a veterinarian to agree to the program. And so I've got a vet now interested in potentially coming on. But the nonprofit that I was originally talking to that said that they would be willing to kind of take this on, reached out. I've reached out to them a couple of times. They haven't gotten back to me yet. So there's just still this little disconnect about putting all the pieces into play in order to get it going. I was hoping that was going to be a lot faster than I anticipated, especially for the summer. We're still working on it. We're still going to get it done.
And what would the program look like theoretically?
So theoretically, there is a nonprofit that is here in the community. If a resident has a feral cat that they know about, they would call this nonprofit. They would bring over traps, trap them, and then the nonprofit would take the feral cat to this veterinarian. The veterinarian would perform, some shots, spade, neuter, those kind of things, and then release them. Okay. And then the city would pick up the cost of the spade and neutering, and then a small amount of money for the nonprofit to actually do everything.
Yeah. Okay.
The big issue is a lot of vets are not open to just you showing up tomorrow and go, hey, I caught a feral cat. Can you fix it? So we're working on it. But yeah, I guess part of it was my ignorance. I didn't know much about feral cats.
Right.
So I just kind of thought, well, how hard is it? Catch them, fix them, let them go.
Yeah.
And I'm finding out it's not quite that easy.
That was always the details.
All right. So is there anything going on around town, or is there anything else that you want people to know about?
You know what? So I'm not going to say what's going on around town, but what I would like, the residents to know is we've got an awesome council. I was a councilman for 2 years, been on the fire department, been to council meetings for the past 28 years. We have 7 people who are really engaged, talking. It's nice because they don't necessarily all agree.
Yeah.
But there's some stability.
Right.
There's a lot of agreeing to disagreeing. There is a lot of good conversation. The days of, I got my 4 votes, we're good, isn't there anymore.
Nice.
People are being very thoughtful of other people's, concerns. We're trying to be as open and communicative amongst each other as we can. And if there's issues, we're trying to talk about them and say, hey, this is why we feel this way, or this is why I feel that way. And we've already had a couple, council people say, okay, I understand, but I don't agree with that. Okay. And that's okay.
That's what it's for?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And as of right now, there's nobody there's no hard feelings. There's no, well, you voted against me on this, so
we're done.
Yeah.
None of that.
Nope, not yet anyway. And it is really refreshing to see. From a mayor standpoint, it's been awesome for me. As Councilwoman Jansen has been instrumental in getting involved in, Heritage Days. Council President Gary Thompson has been kind of my right-hand man. I've been able to call him. We've been able to talk about some things.
That's good. I know that's what he wanted.
Yeah.
And when he was running again. He's got all that experience. So
yeah. And not only that, and I have said this 1,000 times, this is not Chad Gluss Falls.
Right.
And, there's going to be things that I don't necessarily agree with, but it's what the community wants. And, in my opinion, they trump me every time. We got him and Councilwoman Barkowski are very hardworking on trying to get council meetings streamed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And/or recorded.
Yes. Yeah. So the nice part for me is, these are all things that I need to work on, but I have council people now saying, hey, I'll work on that for you. And it's really taken a huge load off of me. It's given a lot of buy-in to them. I've always said, 3 or 4 heads is better than 1.
Right.
And so it's been awesome.
Anything else that's on your mind and you want people to know about?
Just, you know what? Thank you for putting your trust into me. My door is always open. I've got my cell phone on my business cards. The number here is 235-5550. Give me a call, stop in. I'll have a cup of coffee waiting for you.
Nice. And
Thank you for listening to this episode of Olmsted Overheard. As I mentioned, this marks the start of Season 2, and I'm hoping to continue to build on this with more consistent episodes, more conversations with local leaders, and more coverage of Olmsted Falls. If you found this episode helpful, please be sure to subscribe and share it with someone else in the community who might also want to give it a listen. And again, if you're interested in being a part of this podcast in any way, I do need the help, so I'm genuinely interested in hearing from you. I'm Mark McCausland, and this has been Olmsted Overheard.